In an age where gods, spirits, and magic ruled the earth, a war between the Demon King's army and 6 heroes was nearing its end. The team of 6 heroes had dominated the Demon King's forces and were approaching his castle. Despite the Demon King's army successfully killing many human soldiers, they were all resurrected by the holy power of a sacred girl. As the Demon King's forces were pushed back, the dragon god flew in to besiege the castle. Inside the castle, Demon King Linus was informed by his subordinates that most of his dominion's wings had fallen, and this was the last stronghold of the demon race. Outside, the dragon god was fiercely attacking and destroying the castle, while human magicians were using magic to summon something. Through his observation orb, Linus realized it was Arican, a great sage wielding divine power. Upon seeing Arican's face, Linus was furious. He wanted to go out and use the dark flame to burn Arican, but his subordinates advised Linus to stay calm because they knew Linus was holding a promise with the rebel goddess. Ultimately, Linus accepted defeat from the humans. As an immortal demon king, Linus vowed to return in 5 years to reclaim his throne. Not long after, 5 years passed. At that time, 2 girls from the Sacred Sword Academy were investigating the ruins of the Demon King's castle. Their goal was to investigate the lair of void creatures, also known as voids. The white-haired girl, Celia, believed these creatures made their nests deep within the underground ruins. However, Regina warned Celia not to take risks since their objective was merely to investigate the place. As they delved deeper, they realized it was a resting place for a king. Approaching a door, they noticed a magical reaction and strange writings on the door. Celia tried to find out through her phone but failed. Seeing this, Regina asked Celia for permission to check another place. At that moment, the door suddenly glowed and opened in front of Celia. Inside the room, torches lit themselves, and Celia's magic power gauge suddenly overloaded. In front of Celia was a large stone seemingly containing someone sleeping inside. Back to Linus, he was dreaming about the past. The rebel goddess Roselia said that next year she would reincarnate as a human child, and Linus's task was to find her. Roselia asked Linus to remember this before she disappeared. When Linus awoke, he felt someone disturbing his sleep. It turned out Celia was using a weapon to break the stone and rescue the person inside. However, Linus thought a thief was trying to rob his tomb. Linus immediately unleashed the magic that shattered the stone and pushed Celia away. As Linus approached, he realized the girl was very beautiful, akin to the fairy race. Meanwhile, Celia wondered why a small child was trapped in the room. Linus was shocked to realize he had returned to the form of a small child. Celia then checked Linus for injuries. Thinking Linus was in shock and couldn't speak, Celia hugged him and comforted him, saying she would protect him. Linus, who had been revived in a human body, began to feel again. However, he couldn't accept this weak child's body, especially when he felt something strange while being hugged by that beautiful girl. Nevertheless, Celia gave him food, making her seem like a savior to Linus. Celia then introduced herself to Linus. After they became acquainted, Celia called him by the short name Leo. Realizing that Celia was also a child, Leo decided to use this opportunity to learn more about this world. First, he asked Celia to explain about the void creatures. While they were talking, Regina was in danger and had to activate her holy sword to protect herself. Back to Leo, Celia told him that void were dangerous creatures from another world that appeared last year. Celia's task was to investigate information about them in this place. Celia received a call from Regina that a large elephant had appeared, followed by a rumbling sound that shook the tomb. So Celia immediately hugged Leo to protect him. A monster had broken through the wall and entered Leo's room. Celia quickly used her weapon to attack the monster, but it had no effect. Meanwhile, Leo tried to use magic but fell because he was not yet accustomed to his new body. Fortunately, Regina arrived just in time to shoot and defeat the monster, saving them both. Although Regina was curious about Leo, they had to focus on defeating the elephant first. Regina then transformed her holy sword into a new form called the Sacred Sword, which looked like a cannon. One shot from Regina was considered equivalent to a massive explosion spell by Leo. However, the monster still managed to withstand the attack. In that dangerous situation, Regina told the two of them to run while she held off the monster. Leo hadn't had a chance to speak when Celia already grabbed his hand to run outside. Leo felt a bit humiliated because he had only reincarnated as a small child and his tomb was being attacked by monsters. As they hadn't yet made it out, another monster appeared, blocking their path. According to Celia, it was a monster, so she told Leo to step back. However, as the Demon King, Leo tried to use magic to destroy it, but before he could, Celia had already pushed him back and took the monster's attack herself. After being hit, Celia was severely injured and seemed unlikely to survive, yet she still told Leo to find Regina and escape. As more monsters appeared and surrounded them, Leo didn't run and listen to Celia's last words. Celia only managed to apologize for not being able to protect him, then closed her eyes. Leo cursed Celia as a fool because he could have withstood the attack. However, Leo acknowledged Celia's bravery in trying to protect him, making him very interested in her. Then, Leo called upon his Staff of Darkness to punish the monsters. He cast gravity magic on the first monster, and within seconds, its body was crushed by the gravitational pressure. Seeing Leo's power, the other monsters fled. However, Leo didn't let a single one escape and used fire magic to burn all the monsters to ashes. Leo realized that although he used powerful magic, his current body was too weak, and his magical power was only a fraction of its peak. Usually, as the Demon King, Leo did not care about human lives, but he appreciated Celia's bravery and decided to help her. Using life magic, Leo healed Celia's wounds. When Leo's magic was finished, Celia's eyes turned blood red and all her wounds healed completely. Meanwhile, Regina had defeated the last of the elephants in the tomb and immediately approached Celia to check on her condition. When Leo saw their communication device, he realized that humanity had progressed significantly. Celia, now conscious, immediately hugged Leo, happy to see him safe. Leo was surprised that Celia was more worried about him than about herself. When Celia asked about his wounds, Leo said that he used healing magic. However, Celia, living in the modern era, knew nothing about magic, so she thought Leo had a holy sword. The possibility of recovery made Celia curious, so she explained that the holy sword was a power that emerged from within humans to face the herds of elephants since they all carried weapons, which humans generally referred to as the holy sword. For example, Regina's holy sword was a dragon-shaped cannon. However, Celia had not awakened from her sleep, so she couldn't use this weapon. Then Regina returned to meet Leo and Celia, and they all went outside to prepare to return to the academy. Syria explained to Regina that Leo was a boy who was captured by the elephant herd, so his memories were confused. Because of this, the two girls decided to use this car to take Leo to the city. In the car, Regina considered Leo a naughty boy who was only interested in Celia's breasts, and the fact that Leo was hugging Celia made him feel happy, even though Celia had explained that Leo was not like that. But the servant insisted that men were essentially naughty creatures and that Leo, as a demon king being played by a girl, must feel very disappointed. However, he had to admit that his body reacted like a man's. After some travels, Leo finally saw the city as described by Celia. This was humanity's last fortress, where many holy sword knights gathered. Leo couldn't believe that human architecture had changed so much in the last 5 years. 5 years ago, otherworldly creatures attacked the city when cannon fire was heard continuously outside. The two girls and the others could only hide underground. Regina was very scared, so Celia had to constantly comfort her. Celia said that her father was leading the battle outside, so the elephants would be defeated soon. However, the noise outside grew louder and louder, so Celia had to tell funny everyday life stories to help her two sisters forget the fierce battle going on. However, when the lights in the tunnel went out, Celia also became anxious. Although Celia knew that her family had never failed, she was very afraid of losing them, and after a sleepless night, they both saw the cityscape destroyed after the paladins' battle ended, where all the soldiers had fallen and no one survived. So Celia broke down crying and apologized to Regina for deceiving her 5 years ago. Now the city had been rebuilt into a strong fortress, but Celia did not forget the memories of the past and reminded herself not to lie again. According to the story, the city was like a giant raft because it could move across the ocean, ready to fight the elephants. When they arrived, Celia reported the results of the site investigation to her superiors and requested permission to take Leo back to the dormitory to care for him. Celia also informed her servant that Leo was not an ordinary child because he possessed the Holy Sword of Restoration, so she had been saved so that Leo could enter the dormitory, and she would help him with the registration. However, Celia reminded Leo to go to the inspection area because they needed to be thoroughly checked before entering the city. Leo couldn't believe that everything had ended up like this. His original plan was to restore the Demon King's forces and then defeat humanity, but humanity had advanced rapidly. When he returned to the body of a child, Leo summoned his two followers, Bake and Sari, who were shocked to see Leo after 5 years. Sari blushed because her master was too cute. Leo did not want to mess around with them any longer, so he quickly informed them that they were all in a fortress at sea. According to Leo, there were 7 such fortresses before the reincarnation. Leo did not expect humanity to advance like this, so to restore the Demon King's forces, he asked them to investigate this city while he infiltrated the human training area and lived there for a while. After hearing this, Sari looked very regretful because she could not take care of her cute master, and then they both left to complete their mission. After Leo arrived at the inspection area, something was sprayed on his face, and his entire body was checked to see if he was carrying any weapons. When he reached the next inspection area, the lights inside suddenly gave a danger warning, so Leo had to hide his magical power and only then could he pass. Finally, the examination was over and Leo received an identity card. Celia took a photo of this card for the schedule of Leo's Holy Sword assessment. When they arrived at the dormitory, Celia wanted to show Leo around the school. Although this place was a frontline fortress, Leo saw that the people there lived very peacefully. Celia explained that the school city was a place that had never been attacked by giants, and then she took Leo to the Holy Sword Academy in the city center. When he saw this school, Leo was amazed because it looked more spacious and magnificent than his previous fortress. Once inside, Celia had taken Leo from the auditorium area to the research facilities. According to Celia, the academic facilities at the academy were very diverse. Besides entertainment areas like the multipurpose room, there was also a large bath in the dormitory, a place that helped the Saint Knights heal their spirits, assisting them in maximizing their strength when passing through outdoor training areas. Celia looked somewhat tired after passing through this area, but she had to train here to soon awaken the power of the Saint Sword. Then, Celia took Leo to the dormitory, and as they passed some girls who kept looking at Leo and praising his kindness, Celia felt that Leo might already be becoming famous here. At that moment, a young man named Muin, accompanied by 4 girls, stopped Celia. Leo knew that they were not Celia's friends, and Celia did not want to be involved with them anymore. However, Muin stopped her and mocked Celia for doing tasks that were too heavy and eventually getting hurt. He also considered Celia's team to be just a bunch of useless trash, but now Celia also had to be responsible for taking care of little kids. Celia informed him that Leo was a Saint Knight, so he should not underestimate him. Although Muin did not believe what Celia said, he suggested that Celia join his team quickly. If Celia did not awaken as a Saint Knight, she would surely be expelled from the academy. But if he were to become Muin's plaything, Celia wouldn't worry about being fired anymore. When Leo saw the foolishness of these girls, he realized they were being influenced by something Muin had over Celia, so he refused Muin's offer and returned to the dormitory. Muin became angry and restrained Celia by grabbing her hair, but Leo had to speak up to make him release Celia. He used magic to make Muin kneel and reminded him not to touch Celia's beautiful hair again. Muin planned to use the Saint Sword to harm Leo, but another girl stopped him, threatening to record his actions and report him to the authorities. Eventually, Muin had to retract his Saint Sword. Leo was lucky to survive, as he had intended to finish off Muin after meeting Celia. After meeting Celia, the girl began to get to know Leo. She introduced herself as Elfine and teamed up with Celia using her Saint Sword. Elfine could make uniform clothes for Leo based on his body size. Celia also informed Elfine that Leo's Saint Sword could heal wounds, so Celia could return without injuries. Elfine apologized for not being able to investigate together because she was responsible for investigating magical energy reactions in this area. At that moment, Celia felt dizzy and couldn't stand upright, and Leo realized that Celia felt thirsty. That evening, Celia took Leo to her team's dormitory. As their team had not achieved much, they only got regular accommodation. As they passed Regina's room, she was sound asleep, perhaps because she was very tired after fighting that morning. Leo was somewhat hesitant about whether he would be comfortable staying in the women's dormitory, but Celia just regarded him as a little boy and asked him to stay in her room as usual. Celia changed clothes and bathed in front of Leo without suspicion, making the young man feel embarrassed and go to the bathroom first. At this point, Celia invited Leo to join her team after evaluating his Saint Sword, and Leo himself felt a little strange inside it. While he was busy washing his hair, suddenly Celia also entered the bathroom with him, ignoring his presence. While helping you wash your hair, Leo was stunned and couldn't say anything when Celia repeated about inviting you into her team, even though Celia hadn't woken up from her sword-like sleep. But she wants you to be on her team. Just then, Celia went blank again and fainted. Just like before, Celia's eyes turned red and her fangs grew like a vampire. Unconsciously, she approached Leo to suck his blood. Leo also revealed that Celia had died 2 years earlier. Celia had previously attempted to practice unsuccessfully activating her sword, and seeing Celia continue to fail, Muin came and provoked her. He always offered Celia to join his team because he thought Celia was just the type who didn't have a sword. At times like that, only Regina was by Celia's side to protect her, and she threatened Muin that one day Celia would wake up from her sleep and use the sword to defeat him. However, Celia only felt disappointed and didn't know how long to wait to return to normal. When Celia had just woken up, she saw Leo beside her, and Leo said that he used magic to bring her from the bathroom here, so Leo didn't touch or see anything. Then Leo introduced himself as an ancient wizard who used high-level magic to bring her back from death. It turns out Celia had been resurrected as Leo's highest noble with the title of Blood Huntress Queen. Therefore, when he thirsted for magical power, he overthrew Leo to suck his blood. After hearing this, Celia realized that she had died once. She also narrated her story to Leo. When Celia was still a child, her village was attacked by elephants, and all the warriors died to protect Celia and Regina along with other nobles because these 2 girls had sword blood. Then they were accepted into the academy, but they couldn't awaken their swords as expected. Now, after rising from the dead, Celia doesn't know if the sword is still within her or not. Although Leo couldn't explain, he was sure that after rising from the dead, Celia was much stronger. When Leo's stomach began to rumble, he wanted you to eat a lot. Leo agreed to let Celia choose her food, but she had to pay. Leo immediately took out a gold coin from their era and thought that with this one coin, he could buy everything. but Celia explained that nowadays people use metal to make sacred weapons, not money like that. Leo felt sad because he kept that gold coin only to return the Demon King's army. At that moment, he saw a female samurai being attacked by a group of people asking for money, and when they were about to commit a crime, she quickly attacked them with a wooden sword. Leo noted that she was quite skilled. At that moment, the girl was Celia's friend named Sakuya. Because Sakuya ran out of money at the casino, thugs came to collect, and then she got acquainted with Leo. Today, Celia decided to buy food for both of you. Sakuya recounted that her entire family was killed by elephants, so she had to fight them by any means necessary. Unfortunately, Sakuya likes gambling, so she owes a lot to people. After eating, Celia took Leo to the sword testing room, and when allowed to summon the sword, she took out her magic wand because she couldn't unleash its power. However, when faced with the modeled elephant, she destroyed it with only low-level magic. This surprised the testers, and other students flocked to see Leo in action, while Leo was afraid his power would be exposed. At that moment, Muin appeared and asked for the test for him and would evaluate Leo's strength. He said that a knight like him had the authority to do so. However, Leo only saw Muin as a substitute for the task of collecting those pieces. After hearing that, Muin was very offended and immediately activated the holy sword. Seeing the 4 girls accompanying him, he also drew his weapon. Celia said that Muin was a coward. If they wanted to act like that, then she would also fight alongside Leo. Muin agreed immediately, but with one condition: if Celia lost, she had to join Leo's team. Leo also agreed to that condition if Muin didn't approach Celia again. Meanwhile, Leo encouraged Celia that there was no way he would give her to someone like him just to prepare for battle. Celia had borrowed training equipment from the instructor and announced that if either party lost consciousness or surrendered, they would lose in the battle that had just begun. Celia advances even without possessing a sacred sword, but she has been trained well in sword martial arts, easily blocking attacks from 2 of Muin's girls. Witnessing this, Leo immediately sends 2 others to attack Celia. However, she employs shadow magic to defend herself and then uses her shadows to pull the girls attacking her. Celia still has to fight while mocking Muin that he only knows how to use women as shields. Meanwhile, Regina is running towards the training grounds and is shocked to see Lady Celia fighting alone against 3 of Muin's people, but when Celia attacks, she's already immobilized. Muin says it's the absolute power he possesses, so no matter how hard Celia fights, she won't be able to defeat him. After controlling Celia, he prepares to strike her along with Leo. Of course, Leo dislikes these 2, but Celia is still determined to protect him, and thanks to that determination, Celia manages to activate her sacred sword and even tries to free herself from Muin's grip. After that, Celia attacks and cuts the staff in Muin's hand, cancelling his magic, and the 4 girls return to normal while Muin has to humble himself. Celia finishes the battle, and Regina immediately runs up to Celia to congratulate her for awakening the sacred sword. When they return to their room, they also thank Leo, then caress Leo's head and say that from now on, she will use the sacred sword to protect him. Nevertheless, she wants Leo to help her become stronger, and to celebrate the revival of Celia's sacred sword, the whole team holds a party. They take turns naming Celia's sword to make it look cool, and at the same time, the girls also congratulate Leo for joining their team. But before everything, they have to ask Leo where he will stay in this house because Leo is so attractive that all the girls want to invite him to their room. However, Celia only wants Leo to stay in her room and not take him anywhere. Leo also wants to keep Celia's secret, so he decides to stay in Celia's room after the party. After the party, Leo has to go to Elfine's room to get data on Elfine's sacred sword status called the Witch's Staff, which can collect very accurate data. Previously, Elfine's sacred sword was of the fire attack type, but after witnessing 2 of her comrades killed by an elephant, her sacred sword lost its power. Fortunately, Celia invited her to the team to investigate and analyze, and after gathering data on Leo, Elfine sends it to the Academy network. While Leo, when he sees Elfine has a map on her computer, also asks to study it further through map observation. Leo has found some important locations like his castle, and he is sure that the elephant might be related to the old battlefield between him and Erican. That's when Black returns to report the mission to Leo. He says that beneath the island's center, there's a giant magic furnace that seems to transfer magic from here to the entire island. After hearing that, Leo thinks that if he could get this magic furnace, the power of his army would increase. So Leo orders Black to continue investigating the place. After Black leaves, it's Sari's turn. This girl doesn't know what to investigate, so she brings a bag of pastry to invite Leo to eat, and not just donuts, she also brings many other types of pastries, leaving Leo speechless. However, after bringing back some information that the urban people don't know anything about Leo's past Great War, when Leo hears it, it's a bit hard to understand. Sari looks very jealous when she finds out Leo turned Celia into a lady, although Leo has tried to explain everything. However, Sari is still angry and calls the Demon King foolish. When she sees Celia almost finished bathing, Sari also disappears without a trace. Seeing how Celia dresses and eats, Leo feels she's too relaxed. Currently, several divers are investigating the reaction of magical forces in the sea area.